Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Fiero in the 5-minute pool on ICC. My opponent opens with e4. Let's play a French defense because I have not played this opening much in my videos, and I've had some requests for it. I'm not a French expert at all. In fact, if you want to see a game that I lost in this opening, you can check out the game against Grandmaster Yevgeny Vasukov. So search his name on my channel, and you'll find a very instructive attacking game by my esteemed opponent. So Fiero from Honduras. Just checking who this is. Anonymous. Okay, so let's try to recall our theory. c3, c5, followed by knight c6. That's simple enough. And white might be playing this gambit line. Yeah, bishop to d3, so challenging me to play queen b6 and go after the pawn. You know what? In the interest of being principled, let's do that. We are going to take the proffered pawn. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. This is going to get interesting. I mean, I'm playing... This should come with a health warning because I'm playing into a line that almost certainly my opponent knows and I'm just unfamiliar with. So I think queen b6 is the main move, but I'm kind of tempted to play something slightly offbeat like queen over to g4. Nah, let's not do it. Let's be sensible about this. So queen back to b6. Yeah, queen a4 to g4. That's a common idea in this line, isn't it? I do recall that. Okay, so a6 would cover the b5 square. Queen b4 somehow comes to mind, but I'm not sure about that move. Trying to swap the queens. Queen b4, queen c2, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know how that would turn out. a6. I shouldn't just play a6 because I think it's the move. I should actually try to figure it out. Bishop e7, queen g4. That looks unpleasant. You know what? I'm going to do this move. I'm afraid I'm just going to think for ages and not come up with anything good. So let's just try to play some decent moves and not get attacked. I was stopping white's idea with queen g4. Let's go queen c5 now. Bishop takes h7. Really? So you're willing to play this endgame. And if g6, they're going to sack the bishop on g6, no doubt about it. I'm not going to do that. I could play for that, but that seems risky. So yeah, let's just play the endgame. Giddy up. Let's do this. I want to get my light square bishop out, clearly. Knight b6 followed by bishop d7. I guess I'm handing them the d4 square if I do that. Bishop e7 seems sensible. So does b6. I'm going to play knight c5, though. Getting ready for bishop d7. I might have to stick the knight on e4. I'm not sure. But let's just do this. And try to make some of this time up. I'm down a solid minute and a half at least. A little more than that, even. All right, develop. At least the queens are off the board. That means I'm not going to get checkmated. That's a moral victory. Okay, let's play g6. Stopping any shenanigans with f5 for the time being. Maybe knight e4 at some stage. If I ever want to blunt that light square bishop, knight e4 is the move. Now if white wants to go f5, they got to raise the stakes and play g4. And I don't know how willing they are to do that. Rook c8? Nah, it's castle. I want to get a rook on c8 soon, though. I'm a little concerned about b4. I haven't worked out what will happen after b4. Because then if knight e4... Okay, fortunately they didn't play it, but I was kind of worried about that move. With the rook trying to invade on c7. Had me concerned. Okay, maybe now a5, a4. We'll try to attack. Weakens the b5 square, but it should be all right. Also, knight e4 still appeals to me, but do I have to play that yet? Probably not. Knight e4, bishop into a3 is what I'm thinking. Let's go a5 first. This seems useful. Move faster, John. You're down 2 minutes. Definitely move faster. a4, b4. Knight e4, a3. Or knight e4, probably take first and then a3. At the very end. Let's go b5. So I'm going to go b4 and then a4, I think. That's the new plan. And they're inviting me to do that. Okay. Well, now I can't play a4 without losing the b4 pawn, but still. Not unhappy with this development. Let's double the rooks, shall we? Does that invite rook c2? Bishop c6 also comes to mind. Yeah, okay, let's do this. And if white wants to take my bishop and gain the bishop pair, they got to give me the bishop. Give me the good knight on d4, that is. So low on time. Just got to go blitz style for the rest of the game, man. Got to do it. Nah. We can't do that. Not going to allow rook into c7 so easily. Knight b4 is coming, maybe? Nah, it's not an issue yet. Let's get the king over. I think they need to remove their king from the pin like they're doing. I should have played the Scandi. The Scandi's always the answer. Okay, let's try to trade. Rook into c7, maybe? Maybe they could have played that. I think that was promising for them, but they're okay with all the swaps. And I'm okay with that too. If I could ever attack a2 in the endgame, that would be perfect. Ooh, that move I missed. Completely missed that one. Well, let's attack that and try to push a4. Knight c7. Knight c7, but my pawn might become dangerous. Knight c7, king f8, bishop takes a5, e3. And we can hope for counterplay. Or bishop to d8, maybe. All right, gotta hustle. Still. F5. Yeah, let's do f5. So white's going to gain a structural advantage if they take. But I'm going to go e5 next is my plan. Okay, let's play the bishop in here. But they can win that pawn, can't they? Let's take that. Bishop here, threatening e3 in a lot of cases. Okay, but now we're going after this guy. Maybe a mistake by my opponent. Let's take that. Get the king up. I want to go e5 if possible. Not sure what's going on here. This is a complicated position. Okay, let's do that. Problem is I have 20 seconds, right? This is the big problem right now. Let's go take that one, first of all. He'll take c3. Let's do that. Pull it back. If he takes, it's just a draw, I think. Ooh, but maybe not. Ooh, maybe I lose. Take, king f4. I might have been losing that. I'm not sure. Let's get this back. So now I just got to eliminate that remaining pawn, which I think I'll succeed in doing. King g6, go take it. Ooh, I drew. Just barely, but I drew. Okay, I think that game is a good example of how difficult it is to play sharp lines in Blitz, especially when you're unfamiliar with them. So gambit lines, they do go up in value with faster time controls, and experimenting the opening, generally a no-no. But I'm trying to work more material, more openings into my channel. So maybe that was interesting for you guys to see how I negotiated that that opening and the resulting semi-endgame, queenless middle game. I think my opponent missed a couple opportunities to press. For instance, right here after knight e4, so this is a little later in the game, I think rook c7 would have put me under pressure. Rook c7, and the rook on c1 is defended, so I have to do something about my hanging bishop on b7. Maybe I could play knight a6, bishop a6 there. but I would at least consider rook c7 if I were white. White swapped down. I thought I would have trouble with the a pawn, but I managed to kind of squeak out some defense there. Knight c7 has to be calculated for white. I think I did a fair job of holding this position. Actually, though, at the very end, right in this position, I was wondering if knight takes d5, e takes d5, king f4 was just winning for white. Because then my pawns can't move without them being captured. I'd have to play king takes h3 and white just plays g5. I think I'm busted. That's almost study-like. Because I assume that with both of us having two connected pawns, that it would just be a draw. But I'm in zugzwang after king f4. I don't have a good move. So we'll take a look at that. So gambit line in the French. Yeah, this is the Tarrasch variation, knight d2. Those of you who are more of the positional, strategic persuasion, you might like that move. It avoids the pin, knight c3, bishop b4, the winnower variation. So knight f6 is one of the principal moves, as is c5. You see that frequently. So I'm more used to the line bishop d3, c5, c3, knight c6, knight e2. I'm not as familiar with the development of the knight to f3. Because with this knight e2 operation, white keeps that square open for the other knight to go to. So the game continuation is a pawn sacrifice. And I'm just, yeah, I was making it up. I was kind of asking for it here, but it's a challenge. Queen a4. So I'm familiar with this position. I'm just not sure what black should do. What's the theoretically approved way of handling this? I know that queen coming over to g4 gives black issues with this pawn. Like if black just develops, for instance, and then castles, you're running into bishop h6, which is going to cost an exchange, or bishop takes f8. So I can't do that. So let me turn on the engine right here. Queen b4 is a move. a6 is a move. Yeah, I for some reason remember a6, but I don't know why it's played, so I figured I can't really justify it. Bishop e7 is also playable. Probably because after this we're playing, yeah, g6, maybe weakening our king a little bit. White can always play bishop h6 if they want to stop us from castling. So I dogged white's queen, just try to get them to trade. And then queen here. White could persist in avoiding a trade. I thought they would play queen e2. Queen b1 is also interesting. I wasn't unhappy to see this move because I had already used a minute and a half on my clock. And the chance to trade queens, even though I took a little time on that too, I was just kind of playing around with g6. But I think allowing this bishop sacrifice is not a good idea. They're going to win that pawn too, most likely. Yeah, this is losing for me. Bishop g5. Oh yeah, and with the rook coming over to c1, that's curtains. So at least I get to go into an endgame. But cost me a minute plus on the clock that I ceded to white. White might be minusculely better here. Even though I have two center pawns to white's one, my bishop is pretty bad, and white has a stable knight on d4. That said, I think I handled this stage of the game okay. Computer doesn't like castling so much. That seemed natural to me just to connect the rooks together, but it wants to play rook c8 right away. What was the move I was thinking of? Was it b4 right here? I thought this maybe could give me issues. One idea being if knight e4, take, rook c7, and I've got a boatload of stuff on the 7th rank that white can target. So I think if b4, I was going to play knight a4. But I was still a little concerned about this and rook c7, although then I guess I could take on b4. So white played the bishop back here, and now I got a rook over. I felt like this position was acceptable all of a sudden. I still want to find play, though. So I was trying to make some stuff happen on the queen side with my a-pawn push. Somewhere it might have gone slightly astray, though. Maybe bishop c6 is not a good idea. Giving white the chance of taking. I don't know. Bishop d8, according to the engine, maybe trying to come here. Black is a little cramped. Like French players, they never seem to mind these semi-cramped positions with the bad bishop. To my sort of classical chess leanings, I'm a little uncomfortable with that. I generally don't play tons of openings where I'm ceding lots and lots of space. Maybe the Scandinavian, you could argue you do that, although you have harmonious pieces to compensate. In the French, you often just have this bad bishop. So bishop c6, probably a slight mistake. Here I was just trying to move fast, but white's advantage is growing. Yeah, getting my king over was perhaps not the best idea. Okay, moment of truth after knight e4. Does rook c7 do anything? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I just take it and then play what? Rook d7 or bishop a6? Okay. So perhaps the invasion down the file is not leading to anything. Bishop b6 right away is playable, as is all the captures as played in the game. Yeah, bishop eventually coming in here. Okay. So I'm still fine, but white had more than twice the amount of time I had at that point. So bishop b6, I should play king to d7 and what, like aggressively bring my king up? Bishop a6. Maybe this is a plan, or just escorting the e-pawn up the board. What did I play here? I played bishop to c8. I didn't like bishop d8 because I didn't want to allow a check here. So I was trying to avoid that. Okay, and white could play knight c7 check. I was wondering about this line. And then king f8, bishop takes a5. And then if here, I assume just bring the king back. And they will catch that pawn and try to stay up a pawn. I could try... Oh, no, I can't play bishop d8. I was thinking bishop d8 might put them in a pin, but there is this check. Because knight takes e6, thinking they're going to be clever, right, and fork these two pieces and then take on d8 next. That backfires due to bishop takes e6 with check, responding to a check with a check. But bishop takes b4. So knight c7 would have been tricky for me to navigate in time pressure, had white just done that and then scooped up a5. Fortunately for me, they played knight d4. And now let's check the endgame in this one. I thought f5 was okay. Trying to protect that pawn. I know my pawn structure is kind of a mess here, but I'm trying to liquidate. I'm trying to trade. Bishop into c3. I thought they were going to go in this position, bishop to c5, and try to go after this. Can I play take, bishop a4 then? Is that possible? Or am I just seeing things? Nah, yeah, he can just do this, can't he? I thought I might be able to sacrifice the bishop and run the b pawn, but apparently not. So if bishop c5, what's the issue? Why am I not just losing a pawn here? e5, I'd have to get creative and try to get bishop e6 in to target this guy. Also, again, swapping. This might be another scenario where I'm just barely squeaking out a draw. Because all my pawns are dropping, and I have to try to gain counterplay or go grab a couple of white's pawns, especially the b pawn. I want to grab the b pawn. Whenever you're defending, if you can localize the struggle to a single wing, that usually helps you as the defending side. Just cuts down on all the chances your opponent has to outplay you. Bishop b5 is better here, trying to go to d3, I assume. I'm mostly interested in that final position, because I'm pretty sure of the evaluation. We'll find out in a second. And here g4 was the best move. That's probably because if I bring my king up now, he can play, yeah, h4 or g5. h4 looks good, because my attempt to play e5 would then backfire after g5 check, and my king would be forced away from the defense of the pawn. I can't go here or here. And note that the knight and the king cooperate to stop the e and the c pawns at all times, and white has this trump in their back pocket, the b pawn. That's annoying. However, after king here, now I think I'm going to get one of these breaks in, either g5 or e5. Again, trying to liquidate, trying to trade down, and attempt to hold this position. Oops. Sorry, keep clicking the wrong button there. So g4, I play g5 because if e5, then g5 check. Again, my king is forced away from the defense of the pawn. So g5, take, h3, king here, still drawing. This, and now I should play c2. That makes sense to try to bring the knight away, but I just really wanted to get rid of that b pawn. And now king takes h3 is drawing. Probably similar to the game, right? I'm going to run my king back, and then at the very end I'll play e5, opening the avenue for the bishop, and then we're going to go scoop that pawn up. But with my less than 20 seconds remaining, yeah, I played the disastrous bishop d5. And had white found knight takes d5, pawn takes d5, king f4, they would have earned the victory. I'm in zugzwang here. These pawns are stuck. And if I take on h3, then g5, and the pawn is running. I can't stop it. And I think my king is too slow to help out with the e-pawn. Yeah, white's going to win by a tempo. e2, check. Yeah, and they're going to do something like this, and then go bring the king back, and this pawn's a goner very soon. That's a cool position. That resource that white had. Knight takes d5, because, you know, I assumed he just looked at this position for like a couple seconds and said, okay, these pawns are protecting each other, my pawns are protecting each other. It's well known that in such a situation, the king can't ever take the defending pawn. So let's say, like here, like I can't ever take h3 because his g-pawn just runs. I can't catch it. Likewise, like he can't ever take d5 because my pawn would run. So he probably looked at that, but just didn't see king f4. Wins the game. Zugzwang. If black could pass, they would love to do that. If I could pass, white would play g5, then I'd play king h5, and it would be a draw again because king f5 would allow e3. Okay. So, fun game. I'm not going to be repeating this gambit acceptance anymore, and I just don't have the right playstyle for the French, guys. Like, maybe if I studied a bunch of French games, but I hate that bishop. I hate that light square bishop. Just, there's so many openings you can play that don't have that problem with the bishop. But I hope you French aficionados like this game, and let me know if I played it bad or how you would improve if you were black. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back again soon with another video. Talk to you later. Bye.